The story begins with a laughing pig. Yes, a laughing pig's head. The genes that determine the structure and shape of organs and tissue in pigs are 95% similar to those in humans. Therefore, back in ancient times, when human dissection was taboo, pigs served as test subjects instead of humans. Now, our protagonist, Maru, is standing in front of those pigs with a knife in his hand dripping with blood, while doing his butcher duties. Someone approached Maru, stepping through the blood. The person was big and bulky, holding an axe in his hand like a gangster from the 90s. He told Maru that no matter how talented a person is, 95% of their life is a pig's life. The bulky guy asked Maru if he was planning to push around and take the place of someone like him, with 4 or 5 years of knife experience. He called Maru an arrogant little bastard and was ready to take him down. But Maru didn't flinch, nor was he scared. And then, the bulky guy sliced the pig behind Maru. Surprisingly, it was all an act. The man happily said that Maru is still far from surpassing his achievements. Maru, continuing his butchery, told the man, who was also his boss, that if he kept playing pranks, the workbench would break again, so he should stop the act and get dressed. The bulky guy, Hong Junho, the manager of World Livestock Food, picked up the pig he had cut, and proudly boasted that it would be a shame to sell it because of how skillfully he had sliced it. Maru, an employee at World Livestock Food, wasn't in the mood for conversation, so he agreed, telling Junho he was the best. He placed his knife into the pig and cut it neatly with precision. Junho placed his hand on Maru's head, saying his skills weren't bad either. He had improved so fast that no one would believe he had only been butchering for a year. But Maru told him not to disturb him unless he was going to help. Junho shouted out to Kim Yang, telling her that Maru was lagging behind today and that he'd be taking him out on some errands. But Kim Yang didn't respond, too busy munching her food, so Junho called her name multiple times to get her attention. The girl, Kim Yang, was the accountant at World Livestock Food. Junho asked her if she was planning to do a mukbang broadcast and told her to stop eating so much. He informed her that he'd be going to the sauna, so she should keep an eye on the office. Kim Yang stood up, saluted, and with food in her mouth, told him to have a good trip and to bring something delicious. Junho crossed his arm over Maru's neck, saying, "My dear Maru, you know I care about you a lot, right?" Sarcastically, Maru replied, "Care my ass," pointing out that Junho barely gave him any money, made him work without leave, and dragged him into all-nighters because he didn't want to do them alone. He even kept pulling him around after work, so he shouldn't claim to be a helper when Maru was the one doing all the butchering. Junho seductively told him that it was all because of his love for him. Maru replied, "I don't need it." Junho asked if Maru remembered his first day on the job when he was asked to dissect a pig and would get paid for it. Normally, anyone would hesitate when asked to cut it like that. But Maru didn't even blink. Junho knew right then that Maru was born to be a butcher. He poured water on his body while Maru angrily told him that, butcher or not, he had not only dragged him out during work hours, but now wanted him to scrub his back too. Junho thought no one would care about it, and mentioned that Maru used to beat up all the kids during lunch breaks, so he should use that strength to scrub the dirt. Maru asked if he was going to pay him by the hour for it. Junho replied, "No, I'm not paying for that." Maru told him there was no way he would do it without getting paid. Junho said he knew what Maru needed was money, and promised a profitable job, though maybe not enough to fully solve his situation, but enough to get out of that half-basement room he was in. At the same time, a child was telling his dad that there was an axe taking a bath at the other end, but the dad told him he'd be in trouble if he went in there. Maru agreed to the job and asked what it was about. Junho turned and reminded Maru that he had studied abroad in Japan. Maru confirmed and asked why. Junho smiled, thinking how perfect everything was, and told Maru to go to Japan right away. That's how Maru took a plane and arrived in Japan, only to be shocked at the place he was supposed to work. He had arrived at an urban livestock farm. The Japanese livestock company they were trading meat with had urgently requested manpower, but for 6 months, Maru hadn't had a single day off. He thought to himself that if he worked this hard in Korea, he'd earn the same, so doing such a job abroad seemed pointless. Moreover, the workplace was strange. They claimed to be short-staffed, yet he was the only one working, while a Yakuza-like guy sat smoking and watching him for 6 months. Maru told the Yakuza-like man in Japanese that he shouldn't be smoking there, and muttered in Korean, calling him a bald-headed bastard. But the strangest thing was the ribs. They asked him to separate the ribs neatly, but the other parts were discarded, and the ribs felt heavier than usual, as if something was inside. Upon close inspection there was a thin line, as if they'd been cut once and reattached, and weird white powder was seeping out. Maru suspected something was wrong but decided to focus on the job since he'd be leaving soon. Still, seeing the Yakuza's disgusting face made him wonder if he should leave now. Back in Korea, Junho was shocked when Maru called, saying he wanted to quit. Maru lashed out, telling him that he'd been overworked for 6 months and that a Yakuza was overseeing him. Yet he had no clue what the job was really about. Junho yelled back, calling him a punk, saying he had worked overtime all this time. So why was he acting up now? Maru insisted the place was weird. Junho, confused, told Maru not to do anything stupid, reminding him that he had pulled strings to get him there because Maru needed money. He asked Maru if he was going to let him down like this, and added that if Maru came back now, what about his siblings' school fees and his mother's card debt? He told Maru it's not easy to earn money and convinced him to stay for 1 more month. Begrudgingly, Maru agreed. He thought about how he was only doing this because of his shitty family situation. He then continued his butchering, venting out his anger on the pork while angrily saying to himself that, if it weren't for money, he would have quit a long time ago, but he decided to hold out for 1 more month. The Yakuza-like man called Maru again, asking if he was working well. He approached Maru, touching his face, blushing, and expressing how grateful he was. Maru thought to himself that the man dared touch his face after scratching his crotch. He was ready to make today the man's funeral, but seeing the gun, he decided to calm down. Maru asked if the man came just to praise him. The man said no, explaining he'd be leaving early for his girlfriend's birthday, and someone younger would take his place. The youngest then arrived, their so-called cute little brother. He apologized to his big bro for being late. The Yakuza-like guy then told Maru that they're both the same age. Maru couldn't believe that such a big guy was their youngest. What's more, they're both 23. The big brother told the youngest that Maru is a butcher from Korea. For now, he should move all the ribs that have been cleaned over there, and he should be careful. While holding the ribs inside a plate in his hand, he ignorantly asked Big Bro, "What does he mean by over there?" The Yakuza-like guy lashed out at him, telling him that over there is over there, you punk, or is over there east or west. Just take it to where you think it goes. But suddenly there was a big tremor, caused by an earthquake. The Yakuza-like guy told the youngest to make sure not to drop them, but immediately as he was told, the fool tripped, and the bones fell to the ground, breaking, and white powder poured out. Maru closed his nose as the room filled with white dust. The guy, sweating all over, asked him if it's his first time experiencing an earthquake. He guiltily said to Maru, "Looks like there is a lot of bone dust, but he doesn't have to worry. He can leave this place to them and concentrate on his work." Maru then turned around to continue his work, while the Yakuza-like guy told the dumb youngest to hurry and pick up the bones. But while picking the bones, the dumb guy told his big bro with curiosity that didn't he say the butcher came from Korea? If that's the case, then he probably won't know this is a drug, since he doesn't understand Japanese either. But the Yakuza-like guy said to him, "Damare," which means shut up in Japanese. He called him a dumbass since the Korean guy understands Japanese. Within seconds, he pulled out his gun and pointed it at Maru. At that moment, Maru was in shock. He wondered if his life was going to end just like that. He wondered if he would die easily like this, after butchering pigs every day and working his ass off trying to provide for his family. He really didn't want to die just like that. Recalling back to the past when he had just become a butcher, Junho asked Maru if he knows why he liked him so much. When Maru started working at the company, he gave him a test to kill the pig. People usually hesitate at first when asked, but Maru didn't even blink twice before doing it. And usually people get caught up with all sorts of feelings after killing their first animal. But Maru was contemplating how to kill the pig in an instant. At that moment, Junho knew that Maru was born to be a butcher. He then pointed his hand at his neck, telling Maru that be it pig or human, hitting the neck would lead to instant death. And slice, Maru chopped off the guy's hand with his knife, making the guy scream in pain. At that moment, Maru was in butcher mode. He had butchered many pigs in his life, pigs that are 95% similar to humans. That's why he knew very well where he needed to stab to kill a person. And dang, he accurately stabbed the guy directly in his neck using his butcher skill. He had butchered many pigs so far, which made him wonder whether he was killing a pig or a person. Breathing heavily, he had no idea if it was a person or a pig. The youngest angrily rushed over and forcefully pushed Maru, slamming and shattering the table. He punched Maru in the face, making him cough out blood. He told Maru in Japanese that he dared kill their big boss. He didn't stop at one punch. He punched him continuously, angrily asking Maru if he knew how nice of a person their boss was. What's more, he was even going to propose to his girlfriend today. The guy was really ready to kill Maru. Seeing that was the case, Maru wondered how he would get out of such a situation. He then used his knife and pierced it into the guy's heart, but to his biggest surprise, there was no damage. His actions made the guy more furious, which made him angrily punch the hell out of Maru's face, telling him that this wasn't his first time getting stabbed. So stabbing him with a toothpick like that wouldn't even make a dent. Maru, while being punched, thought to himself, what kind of monster is this guy for him not to be fazed by a knife? The guy then stretched out his hand and grabbed Maru tightly by the neck, furious and ready to tear his throat apart. Maru couldn't breathe. While at death's door, he recalled Junho showing him a pig, telling him that pigs have strong bones and thick layers of fat, so his knife might not make it through. If he wanted to become the best butcher, he had to learn to avoid the bones and cut through the fat with the most efficient strike. Junho told him that he didn't have to think too hard about it, because he believed Maru would be able to see the path if it were him. And now, through instinct, Maru could see the path leading to the guy's heart. So he decided to take that opportunity. He twisted his knife. With so much force and vigor, he slashed the guy's chest in two, blood gushing out into his face like a dam. Junho's deduction was right. No matter what anyone said, Maru was born to be a butcher, and so he ended up defeating the big guy. With blood all over his body, he forcefully pushed the guy away since he was heavier than a pig. Suddenly, he started vomiting from disgust. Breathing heavily, he told himself it was just righteous defense, and he would have been killed if he hadn't done the killing. He wondered if the cops would believe him if he turned himself in, but he knew that wasn't a good idea since they'd just take it as an excuse. Putting the corpse aside, he wondered what to do about the Yakuza. Only one option came to his mind, which was to set the place on fire. Surprisingly, someone barged in angrily with a gun in his hand. Maru turned around. He never expected there was another person. Furious, the person shot multiple rounds at Maru, angry that a lowly foreign worker dared to kill his boys. Maru covered his eyes while looking for a place to hide, dodging the guy's bullets. The man told Maru there was no way he could survive by running since he'd chase him until he was dead. Seeing that Maru was running into the freezer, he called him a scaredy cat, and despite all his running, Maru had just reached a dead end. The guy forcefully opened the freezer door while spraying bullets everywhere. He then stopped to look for Maru among the pig's frozen bodies. He walked forward on alert, calling Maru a pig bastard, and asking how long he thought he could keep hiding. He told Maru he'd give him an easy death if he came out, do a dogeza and beg. Dogeza in Japanese means to kneel down and prostrate oneself with their head touching the ground. The guy stopped walking, spotting a boot on the ground. He laughed, thinking he'd finally caught Maru. He angrily shot at the boot. But to his surprise, there was nothing there but a boot with multiple bullet holes. While distracted, Maru appeared from above and pushed down the heavy pig meat onto the guy, knocking him down with little to no resistance. Maru refused to give him time to catch his breath. He then jumped forward, furious, and stabbed the guy in the chest. He told him to stop blabbing and just shut the hell up, but the guy, already down, laughed. He called Maru a dumbass, saying that he should have aimed at his throat instead, as bullets are much faster. Shouting with vigor, saying, "Die, you pig bastard." But unexpectedly, he was unable to move his finger. Surprised, he wondered why he couldn't move his finger. Recalling the past when Junho was telling Maru about the brachial plexus of a pig, which is a group of nerves that goes from the spinal cord to their forelimbs. On a person, it would be right above the shoulder, which is exactly the same as a pig, so if he stabbed right there, be it a person or a pig, they won't be able to move, which proves that a person and a pig are 95% similar. He told Maru that there would come a time when even he would be confused if what he was killing right now was a pig or a human. He then pulled out his knife from the guy's chest, with his face devoid of any emotion. The guy tried begging him to have mercy, but dang, Maru sent him to the afterlife. 6 hours later in Korea. Maru was climbing the stairs with his luggage, and after reaching the top of the stairs, he let out a big breath of relief. He was like, fuck, it's only been half a year, and it's already fucking hard. The shit-ass neighborhood of his is really making things worse since he had to climb such long stairs. He took the first flight he could find and returned. Thankfully, the Yakuza didn't chase after him. He also set the place on fire, so it wouldn't be easy for them to know what happened. Well, he had no idea either, since he erased all of his traces and cleaned up the scene where the Yakuza died. So it's all over now. He walked down the stairs leading to his house, but when he got there, he was surprised to see that the light was on at such a late hour, so he wondered who put it on, or maybe his family was all awake. He then opened the door. With excitement, he shouted out to his mom, asking her why she's awake at this late hour. She should come and see since he had made a lot of money this time. He also brought presents from Japan, but he was shocked when he saw that the house was already upside down. He had no idea what happened. Maybe it was a thief or something. He then shouted out, looking for his mom and his sister Naru. While he was searching, he kicked a bone. To his surprise, it was the same bone that contained drugs. He picked it up, wondering why it's in his house. Shockingly, he heard a voice from behind, telling him that it's good he came back. Maru immediately turned around, and he saw a group of big men and a man in a suit with glasses. At that moment, the thought that they might be Yakuza came to his mind. He wondered how they got here so fast. Could it be that his mom and sister were taken by those bastards? The man in glasses put his hand inside his pocket while telling Maru that he was looking for him, but luckily he arrived, saving them the time and trouble. Maru was in a panic, wondering if they chased him all the way to Korea just to finish him off. He then took an offensive stance, ready to take them all down. But he was surprised to see that the man in glasses was from the Narcotics and Organized Crimes Investigation Department, Detective Han Tae-sik. He then told Maru to please come with them. Hearing that they were detectives from the Narcotics Investigation Department, Maru couldn't believe that it was the police that came and not the Yakuza. So he wondered if they came because of the incident that happened in Japan. Tae-sik told him that they should talk about the details when they arrive at the station, so he should please cooperate. Maru told them that if they wanted his cooperation, then was it necessary for the police to come into his house, or did he do something unlawful? One of the police worriedly told him that he was making it a big deal, and he might be misunderstanding something. He explained, telling Maru that they didn't scatter his house. It happened because his mother went on a rampage. Tae-sik told him that what the guy said was true, his mother administered drugs. Maru narrated that his mom was indeed not very mature. Even after their family fell to ruin, she continued to spend money extravagantly. But even with that, he still liked his immature mom's smile. However, he couldn't believe his mom took drugs, and now she was taken to the hospital. She was shaking all over due to the symptoms of drug overdose, so the nurses and doctors held her down to give her a tranquilizer. While Maru was in a daze, Tae-sik approached him from behind, telling him that she was already in that state when the police found her, and the bones containing the drugs she overdosed on were found at the scene. The drugs started being distributed recently, so he asked Maru if he knew when his mother started taking the drug. Maru was shocked to see the drugs with him, but he told the detective that he didn't know anything about the drug. Tae-sik looked at Maru, speechless. He then gave Maru his card, telling him he should contact him if he remembered anything, and so he left the room with his underling. At the car park, Tae-sik was inside a car smoking, while the other guy was coughing and crying in tears while snorting. The guy was Officer Lee. Tae-sik told him to be quiet since he was unable to concentrate, but Officer Lee told him to please open the window if he wanted him to keep quiet. Tae-sik adjusted his glasses, telling Officer Lee that smoking is prohibited in the underground parking lots. Officer Lee lashed out for him to stop then, since the car was now like a chemical warfare, but Tae-sik told him that it was his car, so why should he smoke outside? He then placed his cigarette into his jaw of cigarettes, while telling Officer Lee to research Maru. Hours later, Maru's mother finally calmed down. Maru thought for a moment, saying to himself that nothing made sense. He was gone from home for 6 months. He burned everything at the scene that could be used against him, so the Yakuza, who had no information, couldn't move faster than him. So who in the hell gave his mom drugs? While he was in thought, he received a call from Junho. Junho called him a punk, telling him that he heard there was a fire at the Japanese factory. Maru told him it's true there was a fire, but since he had work to do now, he would call him later. Junho asked him what work he was talking about, or was he coming to Korea because he had work. He laughed, telling Maru to talk since they were pals. He then asked Maru for the reason why his mom took drugs. His words surprised Maru. Maru asked him what he was talking about, but Junho let out a loud and long laugh. He then asked Maru if he received the drugged ribs that he sent. At the same time, he was enjoying himself while being treated like a baby by his underlings. They were praising and telling him that his skin was like a teenager's. The other guy who was touching his feet was so excited to do so, saying that he would never wash his hands again. Junho was still talking to Maru, asking him if he thought the Yakuza were the ones who put the drugs in his house. He was like, "Oh my, did the cops come to your house?" Maru stuttered, and with a sad tone, he asked Junho if he really did something wrong. Junho, while eating his cucumber that tasted a bit salty, replied no, saying that their little Maru hasn't done anything wrong. Besides, he's an elementary SS class butcher, so he's going to work with him for a long time since he already got his place ready a long time ago. Maru furiously lashed out, asking him what kind of bullshit he was spouting after doing such a thing to other people's families. But Junho called his name with a calm tone, Hamaru. Telling Maru that his sister said she missed him, he suggested that he should stop by her company sometime. By the way, he added, telling Maru that his mother became a drug addict, and since he also needed money, he told him that by killing one person, he could make $1 million. Or did he think that their company was just a pig butchering company? He just taught him how to butcher pigs, so that he could use Maru's talent to build a building in Gangnam without a problem. Finally, he sent a nice car to him so he should use it and get off work for today, and he should come kill people with him. He then ended the call. At that moment, Maru was really furious. Another scene. Standing beside a truck with a pig sign on it was a guy. The other guy who was inside the truck shouted at him to stop standing there and help out, or did he just come for sightseeing? The guy outside told him that odd jobs should be done by a livestock punk like him. A bag fell down, and the guy inside told the guy outside that one pig fell, he should come pick it up. He picked it up, calling the guy inside a stupid fucker. He noticed that the bag zipper broke from the fall. Surprisingly enough, it wasn't a pig that was inside, but a human head. The guy outside suggested to the guy inside that they should do the meat cleanup later and tell Boss Hong what happened. The guy inside finished what he was doing and came down. He pulled off his mask, complaining that it was blustering hot, wondering why there was so much luggage. The guy is Chief Baek Soko, working for World Livestock Produce. The other guy, Chief Choi Do-il, worked for the same company. He adjusted his glasses and told Chief Baek to pick up the new recruit when he's done. Chief Baek angrily lashed out, tapping his chest while asking him if he had gone insane. Or did he think he was his minion or something for him to tell him to carry the meat and pick up the new recruit? Chief Choi stood his ground, saying that he should have known by now that he had been his minion since the day they joined the company, calling him a goldfish memory punk. Since it seemed like he had forgotten that he lost in rock, paper, scissors, or was he afraid of the new recruit? Chief Choi taunted him, telling him that it would, of course, be a bit scary for a piglet to go to the butcher. Hearing the word piglet, Chief Baek was triggered. He pulled out his hammer to attack Chief Choi for daring to call him a piglet, but Chief Choi also pulled out his knife, and dang, he blocked his attack. And it was as if a deity dragon and a deity tiger were fighting. He asked Chief Baek if he just noticed that he had been calling him a pig since the moment he joined, or did he want a path in the head? Chief Baek called him a motherfucker, just realizing that Chief Choi had been calling him a piglet for so long, so he suggested that he should give him a spanking today. Staring at each other for a moment, they both calmed down. Chief Choi laughed, calling Baek a cute punk. Baek, who seemed to be quite dumb, was happy at the fact that he was called cute. Choi told him that he'd be back soon, so he should watch the car, and he shouldn't let the word cute get into his head, or else he would get into an accident. Night reached. Baek was sleeping in the truck while waiting for Choi. He woke up when he heard a sound from the car, and when he checked it out, it was a cat. He came outside, playing with the cat, asking it if it was here because it smelled the meat. Well, he can't give it to him though. He then turned around, wondering where the chief went to since he'd been out for so long. So he went out to look for him. On his way, he was wondering if Choi was having a company dinner with the new recruit with him. Seeing the door opened, he wondered how much fun Choi was having for him not to even close the door, but when he opened the door, he saw that the place was all a mess. He walked forward calmly with his hands in his pockets. He came across a body on the ground. He kicked it, thinking it was that of the new recruit. He asked where Chief Choi had gone, but to his surprise, the body on the floor was Chief Choi, bleeding through his mouth, dead, with blood all over the ground. Baek laughed with a mixture of excitement and anger in him. He said out loud that he had never seen such a clueless kid. He then brought out his hammer, telling the new recruit to put down his knife since his seniors came to greet him, or else he'd smash him to bits on the floor. The recruit finally came out, with a knife in his hand. Furious, he asked the so-called senior if he was also with World Livestock Produce. That recruit is our protagonist Maru. Baek told him with an angry smile that millennials and Generation Z people had been some real cheapskates recently, so he asked Maru where his manners were towards his seniors. Or was he not taught properly at home? Maru charged out to attack without saying much. Baek asked Maru with a smile if he knew what they called a strong cow, and bang, he clashed weapons with Maru, while telling him it was called soseji, which is a Korean wordplay. The impact from his hammer shattered Maru's knife. Maru was surprised that his knife had broken, but Baek told him to get his head straight and not get distracted while in battle. At the same time, in another scene, some people were busy decorating a room, as if they were hosting a party. Someone commented, saying that he couldn't believe they also sent Chief Baek to pick up the new recruit. He deemed it to be too much, since they already knew what Chief Choi was like. But another guy with a face like a rhino told him that there was nothing like too much, because director Junho said that the new recruit was the best. The guy lashed out while salivating through his mouth. "You bastard, do you have a problem with Chief Choi going? Do you have a problem with Chief Baek going?" They started comparing who was stronger between Chief Choi and Chief Baek, while shivering and serving as a table for Junho to sit on. The guy on the top commented that even 10 Chief Choi wouldn't be able to beat a single Chief Baek, and it seemed like they hadn't seen Chief Baek fight before. The second added, saying he just thought of Chief Baek as someone who always made strange cow puns. The last guy told him they weren't strange puns but sacred puns. He told them that they didn't know, but he had seen him fight. The guy is Chief Oh Junsik, a member of World Livestock Produce. He narrated, telling them that the moment Chief Baek became a legend was at a certain time. At that time, he defeated all the bullies and gangsters, and he's known as the emperor who conquered the region. He was strong even with his bare hands, but what perfected him was the hammer given to him by director Junho. That was the moment when the physically strongest one met the strongest weapon. That meant Chief Baek with the hammer was called the bull that could not be stopped. And bang, Baek forcefully struck Maru, sending him flying. Baek couldn't believe that Maru killed Choi with such lousy skills. He lamented, saying even though Choi was weaker than him, a guy like Maru shouldn't have been able to defeat him. Maru swiftly dodged his strike, at the same time scratching Baek's hand with his knife. As his hammer was stuck in the wall, he asked Maru what he called a cow that painted well. Forcefully pulling out his hammer, he replied, "Picasso." Maru dodged his second strike at the same time, landing a scratch on his shoulder. Baek blew Maru on the face, asking him why he was not laughing at the joke. Maru, on the other end, landed another small strike on his left wrist. Maru was forcefully pushed against the wall. He thought to himself that Baek wasn't just physically strong. The more they fought, the faster Baek got. Baek asked Maru why he was not laughing, despite his senior trying to lighten up the mood. It seemed like a punk like him didn't really know how to thrive in society. Or was he just going to keep attacking while ignoring his words? He then decided to forcefully make Maru laugh, and so they continued exchanging blows. At the same time, Maru was landing those tiny little cuts all over his body while dodging the guy's ferocious attacks. And as soon as Baek's hammer got stuck in the wall, Maru saw a blind spot, so he immediately went for the kill. But to his surprise, Baek caught the attack with his teeth that looked like those giants in Attack on Titan. He then asked Maru what he called a cow that bites a knife. He replied, "Biting cow." Maru forcibly pulled out his knife. Baek was like, "Whoa," even Chief Choi laughed at my joke, yet Maru didn't. He then asked Maru why he only kept scratching. Even a mosquito bite would probably hurt more. He then decided to show Maru how a proper attack was done, and so they began their third round of striking and dodging. Maru was shocked to see that Baek had gotten even faster. Now, even avoiding his attacks proved to be more difficult. Bang! Baek struck his head with his knee. He grabbed Maru by the leg and asked him what they called a cow that flies in the sky. He dragged Maru on the floor and replied, "Sky cow." He then threw him directly at the wall, using his head to shatter it. He didn't give Maru time to catch his breath as he continued to attack him. As he was using his hammer to smash Maru, he realized that something was wrong with his body. It seemed like Maru only aimed at his vital points. Now he understood why director Junho called him the best of the best. But Maru called him a fucker, telling him that he just had one thing to ask him. Were there people who laughed at his shitty puns? His words really pissed off Baek. Furious, he told Maru that he thought he would go easy on him since he was new, but he dared to look down on his puns. At the same time, Junho finished his hammering, relieved at the perfect artistry of Maru, photogenic and could even be a celebrity. Then he came down from their backs. He told the three of them that they were having a fun conversation, so he decided to butt in, saying that Chief Baek would be a perfect match for Maru among all the chiefs and employees. But it was a shame that he was so obsessed with puns, and among his employees, there was no one who could surpass Chief Baek, and there never would be. Junsik commented with excitement that, as expected, even if the new recruit was extraordinary, Chief Baek was still the best. Junho got angry, asking them why the hell they were addressing Maru informally. They were surprised by his words, having no idea what he was talking about. Junho told them that they should be using honorifics by adding manager to Maru's name, but they refused, telling Junho that Maru was a new recruit and just 23 years old, so how could he be a manager at that age? Junho spoke out with vigor, telling them that earlier they had called Chief Baek the bull that couldn't be stopped, but a bull was still just a beast. No matter what a beast did, would it be able to defeat a butcher? Maru picked up Baek's hammer. At that moment, Baek thought to himself while incapacitated that he had thought the new recruit was just slicing blindly. But he never knew he was cutting his nerves, so that when he used force, all of them exploded at once. He was like, ha fuck. He thought he was playing Maru, but he was running around on his palm. He then asked Maru what he called a cow that dies. I don't need to explain what happened next, since his knife was placed on Baek's head, and the hammer was used to nail it into his skull. Hours later, Maru arrived at the company, and he was congratulated by the other workers upon his arrival, including those who had expected him to lose the fight. They were showering him with praises, as if he were some kind of model or something. But to their surprise, Maru threw something on the ground. At first, they thought he got them a present, but their expressions changed upon seeing that it belonged to Chief Baek and Chief Choi. Maru told them that he loaded 2 more pigs, so they should take them if they could. Furious, they all pulled out their knives to attack Maru. Maru shut the door to prepare for battle. Junho stood on his chair with his legs crossed, observing the fight. He lamented, noting that the punk Maru had gotten a lot stronger than expected. Watching Maru take them down like flies, he wondered if Maru was planning on wiping them all out. The mobs angrily charged toward Maru, but the big guy took them down with ease, hitting all their vital points with minimal effort. Junho realized they wouldn't be enough to stop Maru, so he decided to make a move. He reached behind him, thinking he would pull out his axe, but the dumbass brought out his lightsaber to cheer Maru on, telling him to keep it up and wipe them all out. His words made the mobs wonder if they were any different from pigs. Junho began his background narration while observing the battle. Pigs are known to be passive animals, but sometimes they attack humans. That's why, for a butcher, the first step is to knock out the pigs in one strike. Furious, with tears streaming down his face, Junsik asked how he dared to use Chief Baek's hammer. With vigor, he shouted for them to chop off the bastard's head and offer it up at Chief Bake's altar. After finishing the first step, knocking out the pigs in one strike, the second step is bloodletting. Before dissecting the pig, the blood must be drained. To drain the blood, one must stab both the carotid artery and jugular vein at the same time. Maru did just that to Junsik, making him scream out in pain and tears. Furious, the rhino guy called Maru a dirty terrorist bastard for daring to take Chief Junsik hostage. He charged at Maru, hoping to save Junsik. The third step after draining the blood is skinning, Junho continued. It's the first main step of dissecting, peeling the skin off the pig, and zing, Maru took them all down. Junho decided to leave the rest of the steps for next time. Maru, breathing heavily after taking down the mobs, left only a few standing. The remaining few were in shock, unable to believe how monstrous Maru was. There was no way they could win against such a beast. Panicked, they begged Maru not to step forward anymore, as he approached them with a heavy bloodlust. But before he could reach them, Junho appeared behind him, and bang, Maru attacked without thinking twice. Junho blocked the attack with one hand, reminding Maru of when he told him there would come a time when he'd be confused about whether the things he's killing are humans or pigs. He then shattered Maru's hammer with one hand. Picking up the cake they had made for Maru, Junho threw it at him, asking if the people he just killed looked like pigs. Junho said excitedly that he knew Maru would turn out like this one day since they were the same kind of butcher. He then told Maru they should go inside and stop playing with the pigs. Maru, angry, pointed his knife at Junho and demanded to know where his sister was. As Maru was pointing the knife, someone stepped inside, treading on the cake. Maru turned around while Junho remained unfazed. The girl bent down, picked up the cake pieces, and cried at how cruel someone could be. She then licked the cake. Standing up, she angrily asked who had destroyed it. Junsik, revived, tried to tell her it was Junho, but before he could finish, Junho smashed his head and pointed at Maru. The others followed suit, all accusing Maru of destroying the cake. Maru was in shock, having no idea why they framed him. Before he could make sense of what was happening, the girl shot a bullet through his ear. Maru immediately dived down for cover. Knowing he had to close the distance against someone with a gun, he realized it was his only chance to win, despite the risk. But to his surprise, the girl closed the distance herself. Although surprised, he took the opportunity to attack. After all, she was within range. But before he could do anything, she kicked him in the face. Stunned and trying to regain his senses, Maru endured multiple attacks, coughing up blood. He was in disbelief at how ridiculously strong she was, even in close combat. Furious, the girl told him she was taking revenge for his cake and that he would pay with his life. She continued launching multiple jabs, giving Maru no room to attack nor any openings in her defense. Meanwhile, while dodging her attacks, Junho shouted at him to be careful since Kim Yang was the best North Korea had trained. Just then, she managed to wrap her legs around his neck while holding him at gunpoint, ready to make his head go kaboom. Going back some time in the past when Junho met Kim Yang. It all started at a particular gathering, maybe a wedding or a party. The people inside were all killed, mercilessly butchered, with blood everywhere. It was done by Kim Yang, who was busy eating and munching on all the food amidst the stench of blood. While she was eating, Junho entered the room asking, "Which livestock killed off the pig I was aiming for?" He pulled off his glasses to see who it was, but to his surprise, it was a little girl, not a pig, but a human. With food still in her mouth, Kim Yang asked him who he was, or if he was a soldier from the Southern Army. Junho smiled with joy since she was indeed a person, more like a beggar. He then told her to take her time eating while offering her a bottle of Coke. Without thinking whether it was poisoned or not, she snatched it and started drinking. Junho sat down, telling her that, judging by how she was still eating after all this mess, she'd probably make a lot of money streaming mukbang. But she had no idea what mukbang was. He brought out his phone, showing her what a mukbang was. He explained that she could earn money for eating just like what she was seeing on the screen. She was immediately bewitched, hearing that she could eat so much food while earning money in the process. He asked her what she thought of the idea. If she worked for him, she could eat even more than what she was seeing. Furious, she lashed out at him for daring to bribe her with food, boasting that her revolutionary spirit would never be ruined by American capitalist ideals. But as soon as Junho promised to give her breakfast, lunch, dinner, late-night meals, and snacks, she immediately went on her knees, swearing she would serve him well. She decided to clean up first before accepting him as her master. Junho told her to go and to bring him some ice cream on her way back. 1 week later, Junho was reading a newspaper about a strange explosion that was cited in Gaesong. The government was still confirming the cause, but standing in front of him was Kim Yang, still eating as usual, with blood all over her body, looking messy. He asked her if she was the one who caused the explosion. Then he asked, "Isn't one of those ice creams mine?" Speechless for a moment, she told him she didn't know what he was talking about. Back to the main event where she held Maru at gunpoint. Maru immediately used his knife to change the direction of her gun before it was fired. He tried stabbing her, but she skillfully dodged it, and bang, she immediately counterattacked, kicking his jaw. While they were busy fighting, Junsik received a call. But seeing that it was from his daughter, he woke up from the dead again to pick up the call, while blood was pumping out of his body. His daughter asked him if he was working overtime. He replied yes, that he was a bit busy right now, so she should eat without him. But as soon as his daughter told him not to worry, that she and her mom had already had eel, he immediately stood up, getting a sudden energy boost from the afterlife. He whispered into the phone, asking his daughter what she meant by eel. She told him that her mom had also gotten some for him. She said she was going to buy bokbunja as well, and that she would sleep at grandma's house. Hearing what she said, he was super excited since eel and bokbunja, a type of Korean wine, are known as stamina foods. His daughter then asked him if she'd be having a little brother. The rhino guy and the other hippo guy told Junsik to come and take cover. Seeing them, he was surprised that they were still alive. They overheard his conversation about him and his wife having eel again, which made them jealous. Junho, who was sitting on their backs despite their injuries, told Junsik that he could go home early today. But Junsik rejected the offer, voluntarily deciding to work overtime. Junho then commented about Kim Yang and Maru. Although there was a noticeable difference in their levels, it was an interesting matchup. The rhino guy asked Junho who he thought would win, though he knew it would be their Miss Kim Yang. Junho told him that, yeah, of course, Kim Yang fights well. Her skills are top level, just like the amount of food she eats. The rhino guy commented, as expected of the chief and manager level employees, Kim Yang is the best. But while they were busy cheering Kim Yang on, Junho told them that although Kim Yang was trained to be perfect, even when Maru didn't know anything, he was already a human and not a pig. So Junho taught him bits and pieces since he seemed interesting. He taught him the art of dissecting, which can only be perfectly achieved by someone with at least 1 year of fighting experience. But to his surprise, Maru achieved it in 1 month, so Junho made him do something even more difficult, something even a chief-level employee would take an hour to complete, which was to knock down a cow. Surprisingly enough, the punk Maru didn't even take 5 minutes. That's when Junho became certain that he had found the perfect butcher he had been looking for all this time. He then asked Junsik if he knew what a butcher was. Junsik replied, saying the word butcher uses the characters for white and man. White can also mean nothing, so the word butcher originally means a man with nothing. Junho was satisfied with his answer. As expected of the only employee with a doctorate, he wouldn't expect anything less from him. Kim Yang brought out her weapon since Maru had disarmed her earlier, and so they began their second battle. Junho began giving background narration, saying that to have nothing means you can be filled with anything. At that moment, Kim Yang was surprised that the bastard Maru was copying her moves. Junho commented in the background, of course, it wouldn't be easy for Maru to defeat Kim Yang. However, one can't ignore the fact that Maru was improving by the minute. In the end, their fight was about whether she could defeat him before he caught up, or if he could endure before he surpassed her. Though they were all curious about the outcome, Junho stood up, not wanting them to see it. Instead, he charged out at full speed and slammed his hammer between them, in order to show the audience something even more interesting. He then told Maru to attack him. But Kim Yang voiced out angrily, "Are you kidding me right now?" She pointed her dagger at Junho, questioning why he was putting that little scoundrel in such a high position. She then told Junho to get out of the way, because she had to cut that bastard's head off. Knowing what kind of person she was, Junho pulled out a card and told her about a Michelin 3-star buffet that only VVIPs of the Shinro Hotel could attend, and it would be over in an hour. Smiling, he tossed the card at her, suggesting she run to the hotel to see how much meat she'd get to eat. Like a dog chasing a bone, the foodie ran after the card. As she caught it, she told Junho that she still intended to kill the kid, Maru, for dropping her cake, but she'd leave the crazy kid for Junho to handle, considering the VVIP ticket as payback. Junho looked back, asking, "Our little Maru, did you wait long?" Maru wasn't in the mood to reply. He then attacked Junho with his knife, furiously demanding to know where his sister was. Junho blocked the attack with one hand, and to Maru's surprise, sent him flying with a simple push of his axe, while asking if that was all Maru was curious about. Mid-air, Maru was shocked at Junho's ridiculous strength. Junho raised his axe and told Maru to come at him with everything he had from now on, or he might die if he let his guard down. Just from the axe being raised, Maru felt as if he'd been cut in half, despite Junho not touching him. This made Maru wonder how strong Junho really was. Recalling a random day when Maru was 21, the day he became the head of his family after his father died, Maru remembered how, in order to support his family, he found work at the World Livestock Produce Company. The work was hard but not bad, because someone there loved him as if he were their own son. At least that's what he believed until that same person harmed his family. Furious and with tears in his eyes, Maru charged at Junho, asking why he did such a thing. Junho easily blocked Maru's attack and bang, struck him on the head with the belly of his axe, reminding Maru to keep his movements sharp, whether he was butchering a person or a pig, as he had told him in the past. He explained that when movements get bigger, the gaps also grow bigger. Maru noted the word gap and decided to take advantage of Junho's opening, but before he could land an attack, Junho flicked his head away, telling him that to exploit someone's gap, he needed to distinguish between real and fake openings. Maru thought to himself that even by exploiting Junho's gaps, he couldn't win. Should he chip away at Junho like he did to Chief Bake, or kill him in one breath like he did to the four-eyed guy? Realistically though, he knew if he tried either, he'd just get hurt and be unable to do anything. So, he thought of a different strategy. While Maru was deep in thought, Junho approached him with his usual scary smile, commenting that it looked like our little Maru was thinking a lot. Surprised, Maru immediately leaped backward. Junho taunted him, asking, "Do you think you'd have time to think during a fight?" and then slammed Maru's stomach with the knob of his axe, reminding him that he'd die if he let his guard down, just as he had told him before. Junho added that no professional fighter dodges in a straight line, and it didn't matter if he attacked or dodged. If his movements were obvious, he'd still be defeated. Maru grabbed the axe handle, wondering how to get rid of the weapon. To his surprise, Junho lifted him with the axe knob, questioning if Maru really wanted to fight him now. Confident that Maru wouldn't be able to escape even if caught by his toes, as Junho retracted his axe, Maru fell to the ground, quickly rolling over to regain his stance. Disappointed, Junho asked what Maru had even learned so far, as it seemed like everything he'd taught him had gone down the drain. He then told Maru to come at him again. Furious, Maru charged once more, pointing his dagger at Junho, but Junho easily overpowered him while casually scratching his nose. In the background, one of the three underlings commented that, as expected of the cruel boss Junho, he could end the fight quickly but was just playing with Maru. The rhino-looking guy added, "Such is expected of the world's strongest, worst, and most evil warrior." But Junsik told them their deduction was wrong. Curious, they asked what he was talking about. The rhino-looking guy questioned if Junho could be even crueler than they thought. With a wrong deduction, he remarked that such was expected of the cold-blooded monarch, someone mere mortals like them dared not approach. As the two underlings voiced more comments, one saying that Junho was truly a monster, and the other joking that he wanted to be like him when he grew older, despite being old already. Junsik corrected them, explaining that they were missing the real point. The one they should be watching was the kid on Junho's heels, Maru. With vigor, Junsik exclaimed that Maru was a monster. As Maru struggled to land a hit, Junho busied himself adjusting Maru's body position, commenting that while Maru's stance was good, he needed to cut a bit lower. Maru increased his speed, but Junho parried easily. Maru told Junho to take the fight seriously. Smiling, Junho blocked Maru's attack with incredible speed, telling Maru that if he wants him to attack seriously, Maru needs to attack properly. Bang! Maru landed a powerful strike, the shockwave rippling out, but as usual, Junho blocked it, commending Maru for his improvement. However, Junho pointed out that Maru was missing one key element, the weight difference between them. Bang! Junho struck Maru with his axe, forcing Maru to use all his strength to defend. Junho explained that in a head-on fight like this, he had a big advantage being in a heavier weight class. While Junho was busy lecturing, Maru struggled to move. Junho criticized him, saying he still wasn't putting enough power into his attacks. As Maru fell to his knees, Junho voiced his disbelief, questioning if Maru was even eating enough. Exuding an intense killing intent, Junho asked if Maru really thought he could kill him with such pathetic strength. With a slight push of his axe, Junho shattered Maru's knife. Bang! Maru rolled on the ground, barely avoiding disaster. Junho told Maru to get up, mocking him by asking if he thought humans grovel on the ground like beasts. He then asked what Maru would do now that his knife was broken, suggesting they fight with their fists, but Maru's eyes were on the knife behind him, and he immediately ran to retrieve it. Junho taunted him, saying, "Scared of a knife, are we?" He then threw a table at Maru, laughing. "You didn't think I'd just watch, did ya?" Maru blocked, dodged the table, and went to attack with the intention to kill, but Junho was like, "Fuck, your shoe is untied." He grabbed Maru's leg tightly and commented, "How can you let your shoelaces go untied?" He then flung Maru into the air, telling him that stuff like his shoelaces should be taken care of by himself. Or does he need Junho to take care of everything for him? Bang! Junho struck Maru with his axe while mid-air, sending Maru flying as he slammed onto the wall, his body and head forcefully landing on the ground. Junho then told Maru they should stop here for today. He walked towards Maru with the intention of explaining why he did that to his family, just as Maru had asked. He remarked that the drug factory he burned down in Japan cost 300 billion, and all that money is gone. Surely those pigs were unhappy about it, so they ran to him with wide red eyes. It was obvious that Maru wouldn't be able to take care of them, so in the end, he had to cover for Maru. The only way to calm those pig-brained bastards down was by punishing his mother, who had now become a drug addict, and the chaos was proof of Maru's ability to repay the 300 billion. He pulled up his glasses and, with a smile, asked Maru to work with him. He told Maru that he should understand that 300 billion is a lot of money, so if Maru worked for him, he would even be able to earn more than that. Since he had taken care of everything, all Maru had to do was join him. He then turned around, telling Maru he would start working when he was fully recovered, but as he was about to leave, Maru told him if what he was saying was true, he should have just told him, so why did he have to escalate it to this point? Junho was like, "Huh, isn't it obvious?" With a dreadful smile, Junho commented, "It's more interesting this way." There was silence in the room for a moment. Then Maru let out a gentle smile, increasing it into a psychotic loud laughter. Junho remarked, "That's right, you think it was fun too, right?" Maru commented while standing up, "It's funny and so ridiculous how I saw you as my teacher, my father, and my benefactor. But you put your hands on my family just to make it interesting." Maru stretched his hair, saying he couldn't believe he thought of Junho like a person, commenting that Junho couldn't even be called a pig. So instead of Boss Junho, the name Pig Junho is better. Furious, he told Pig Junho that he would slaughter him. Junho turned around, asked Maru, "Did you just call me a pig?" Furious, he tore his shirt and told Maru to come and slaughter him if he wanted. Maru said to himself to determine the shape of a pig's tissues, organs, and genes. They're 95% like humans. Therefore, no matter how good a person is, in the end, a person is just a pig. During all those commotions of Maru challenging Junho, Junsik was busy writing his will on the ground. You can all pause the video and read it at your own accord. The two underdogs asked Junsik what he was doing on the floor. Junsik replied that he was writing his will, so they should quickly do the same. The other guy, who looked like a hippo, questioned why he was writing a will all of a sudden. Junsik replied while shivering all over, asking them if they knew what it meant when no one had ever survived after seeing Boss Junho fight all out before. Curious, the two underdogs questioned, "What does it mean?" Junsik replied, "It means that everyone who's seen Boss Junho fight with all of his power has ended up dead. That's why we're all going to die today." Bang! Junho swung his axe at full force towards Maru, but Maru swiftly leaped backwards to dodge the attack. Junho immediately did a semicircle swing, which almost pierced Maru's eye, but Maru was fast enough to dodge. Junho said to Maru that he was so proud of him, so why was he doing this right now? Or had he forgotten everything he taught him? He then charged forward with his axe pointing at Maru, at the same time reminding him for the second time not to dodge in a straight line. But to Junho's surprise, Maru grabbed his axe and did a quick maneuver to attack Junho. What Maru did was wait for the right moment when Junho would go straight to stab him in the face. And he went for the axe that Junho used to pin him to the ground earlier. Junho commended Maru for the challenge. Confident, Junho thought Maru wouldn't be able to cut his face, despite the knife being close to his neck. But to his surprise, Maru twisted his knife, and with just a little space in Junho's facial structure, Maru was able to slice through his tough face like tofu. Shocked, the three underdogs voiced their disbelief. They never expected Boss Junho to be injured. Even Junho couldn't believe it himself. Junsik voiced out in the background that in a mere moment, Maru flipped his knife, adjusted the distance, and was able to land a strike on Boss Junho's face. He really never expected Manager Maru to be that good. Maru charged out, not letting Junho recover, but before Maru could get any further, Junho kicked Maru, sending him flying while telling Maru that he was just playing with him, yet he was running at him with killing intent. I thought you were just yapping when you said you wanted to slaughter me, but you really want to kill me, huh? Angered, he told Maru if he came at him with the intention to kill, then he had no choice but to reciprocate. Bang! Junho sent Maru flying with a beautiful leg kick, slamming him into the tables. As Maru stood up, Junho complimented him for withstanding the attack since he never expected him to. If that's the case, he decided to launch a fatal strike so that Maru wouldn't be able to stand up again. With a devilish smile, he asked Maru if he knew from which direction his axe was going to strike. Is it left or right, or above? And as he was about to split Maru in half, Maru reacted quickly and used a hammer he picked up from God knows where to block the axe, which in the process broke the axe bit in half. Surprised, Junho looked at his axe, since he never expected such an outcome. Maru then asked him, "Do you know what you call it when you kill a cow?" "What?" Junho questioned. Maru replied, "Dai cow." He then began launching multiple attacks at Junho, forcing Junho to let go of his axe as he used his body to defend against the attack. Junsik, shocked, voiced out that what Maru was using was Chief Bake's technique, at the same time using Chief Choi's stabs, slashing Junho on his ribs and leg. Within seconds, he switched to using Kim Yang's slices. All these slashes were quite lethal. Junsik couldn't believe that Maru copied all the techniques of the people he had fought so far. If that's the case, then this could be the first time Boss Junho would lose. Junho was like, "Fuck, so I really am a pig to you." He then grabbed Maru by the neck and, while punching sense into Maru's head, told him that he treated him so well, cleaned up all of Maru's shit in Japan, yet Maru dares to see him as a pig. He punched Maru flying, questioning if becoming his enemy was how he repaid his grace. He then picked up his hammer, telling Maru not to think he was strong since he hadn't even used his full power against him. Not even once. Yet, he questioned Maru if he still wanted to go until the very end. He then told Maru he couldn't let him die. Junho remarked, "What's the point of saving one person if a bunch of people give me shit for it? If you come at me like this, shouldn't I just kill you?" At that moment, Maru thought to himself that he was going to die, but he wondered if he should really be thinking like that. For his revenge, he threw away all his memories he had with Junho to avoid hesitation. He also discarded all his positive feelings toward Junho. He even went as far as to throw away his emotions to see people as pig in order to win. He threw everything away. At least, that's what he thought. But there was something he hadn't thrown away yet, which was his life. As Junho charged towards Maru, he decided to throw it away, his will to live, everything. And as the two of them went for the final showdown, Kim Yang barged into the room, angered, spraying the air with bullets while asking Junho if he wanted to die since the ticket he gave her had expired, and as she roared, commenting that she was going to stir up a hornet's nest, she immediately went silent, dropped her gun as she saw Junho in his last moments. Seeing that she had arrived, Junho threw a key at Yang, told her to listen to him carefully. "If you go into my office, you will see a safe. All of your contracts are in there. And half of that is your retirement money. You should give the other half to Maru." Our big guy then fell to the ground as blood spilled from his head, leaving Maru standing with blood dripping from his sword. As tears dripped down Maru's eyes, he told Kim Yang that if she was going to come at him, she should do it properly. Let's go back some years to a room where a boy forcefully pulled out someone's eye. Sitting on a pile of bodies, he hungrily ate the spoiled food. This is the story of a man who lived as the king of a pigsty. This breeding ground, called a pigsty, raised humans as pigs in a special way. First, in order to drive them to extremes, they were denied food until they reached the point of starvation. Hunger makes one extremely sensitive and violent, to the point where they turn into beasts, fighting among themselves to avoid starvation. In the end, only the strongest pig survives in this hellhole and gets all the food for itself. But no matter how much a pig runs, in the end, it is still a pig, and it will be tamed with even stronger violence. This method of starvation and beating occurs every day. Gruesome violence. Surviving after the harsh selection is repeated every day. Only a few pigs can hold on until the end, and those selected few are sent on missions. Now, standing in front of a group of thugs, was one of the selected pigs, holding a knife behind his back. The thugs mocked him as an ordinary child, wondering what a child was doing there. That child asked the leader if he was the Bloodsea of Mappo. The man questioned him, "Kiddo, how do you know this?" But before he could finish his sentence, the child pierced him in the chest. Furious, seeing their leader fall, the others angrily attacked the little puppy. Though the fate of pigs trained in the pigsty is predetermined, they are raised, then slaughtered. Sometimes, a pig that should have been slaughtered comes back alive. Even when they return, the pig doesn't go back to being human. They obediently return to their pig cage, thinking they are pigs, should live like pigs, and should die like pigs. But one of these pigs, let's say Hong Junho, didn't die as a pig. Though he was sent to his death several times, he always came back alive. As he kept surviving, a thought began to stir. Was he killing humans or pigs? One day, when Junho returned, things changed. In front of him was the man who raised him as a pig, along with a lady and some thugs. The man introduced Pig Junho to the lady, telling her that this was the pig he had spoken of. When Junho ignored him, the man became angry and started beating him, saying, "How dare a lowly pig ignore me? What would people here think if you act like that, huh?" It wasn't the beating that triggered Junho, but seeing the man who raised them like pigs now behaving like a pig in front of the lady, apologizing for Junho's lack of manners but praising his skills. Junho couldn't believe this was all the man amounted to. Realizing that the man was not even human but a pig infuriated Junho. Shaking all over, Junho grabbed his hammer. If the man was truly no different from livestock, Junho made up his mind to become the king of the pigs by cutting down the man who trained them. He split the man's head in two with his axe, sending him to the afterlife. As blood gushed from the man's head, Junho took off his glasses and told the lady, "If you want to use animals, use the best one." The lady smiled, finding Junho interesting, and decided to give him a chance. Thus, Junho's kingdom was born, and he began his life of training pigs and raising them. But during these boring days, he met Yang and Maru. Spending time with them, he began to dream of living like a human one day. When Maru messed up in Japan, the chairman ordered Junho to discard him. Furious, Junho questioned what she meant. He had already cleaned up after Maru, and even reached an agreement with the Japanese. So why did she want him to discard Maru? They had been fine so far. The chairman called him by name, Hong Junho, and told him calmly that if he didn't discard Maru and Yang, he would be discarded along with them. Or perhaps, she added, "Do you want to be sent back to the pigsty?" Hearing this, Junho couldn't argue. All he could do was take out his anger on the table because he was a pig, and orders are absolute to pigs. But he still wanted to save Maru. He thought the chairman might change her mind if he brought Maru into the underground world. That hope vanished when Maru called him Pig Junho. Junho couldn't stand it, not from someone like Maru. In his rage, he considered killing Maru as ordered. However, in the end, he couldn't. Comparing himself, a pig living without a goal, to Maru, a human risking everything to protect what mattered, Junho felt ashamed. He wanted to be seen as human, so he let Maru's knife pierce his heart. In his final moments, Junho smiled and told Maru, "You see, I am human in the end, aren't I?" His last words to Maru were, "Live like a human until the very end, no matter what," and he died with a smile. A story of the king of pigsties who died as a human. Hours later, someone approached Junho's corpse, knelt, and commented that he wanted to be the one to kill Junho. This man, with an eye patch, was Choi Ki-jung, senior managing director of World Security. He placed his hand on Junho's eye and pulled it out, the same eye Junho had taken from him. He crushed it in his hand and told Junho to rest in peace. Then he called the chairman and confirmed Junho's death, but the safe Junho was guarding had disappeared. Ki-jung assured the chairman he would find whoever killed Junho, no matter where he ran, tear him to pieces, and bring back the safe.